Time is running out before our debut in the 2026 season, and the Commanders management needs to finalize a crucial last-minute deal to avoid compromising our roster's balance. This market move could be the definitive piece that the coaching staff is looking for to strengthen our planning, but decisions behind the scenes don't stop there. While the management analyzes this external opportunity, our running back department has become a major source of doubt. The constant changes in the depth of this position are generating questions among analysts, creating real suspense about who will truly take on the primary responsibility on the field. And completing this decisive moment, public statements from one of the most influential sports analysts brought ironic comments and direct advice for our starting quarterback, raising an important debate about the stance of our great leadership before the first game. I will reveal to you shortly what this urgent trade is, the truth about our running back rotation, and what lies behind these statements about our quarterback. Leave your like on the video. It's just one click and it helps me a lot. The injury to Laremy Tunsil's triceps has transformed what was merely a doubt into a real emergency in protecting Daniels. The veteran, a 5-time Pro Bowl selection, underwent surgery, and the expectation is for a return only at the end of the season if all goes well. You can't just hope and cross your fingers when it comes to the blind side of your franchise quarterback. The organization needs a concrete plan before facing 2 consecutive away games against NFC East rivals. Brandon Coleman has been receiving praise from the coaching staff since he transitioned from left guard to left tackle, but preseason training is never a guarantee of anything in a real game worth points. It was in this scenario that the possibility of bringing Walker Little from the Jacksonville Jaguars arose in exchange for a 6th-round pick in 2027, receiving back a 7th-round pick in the same draft. This isn't the type of deal that makes fans jump out of their seats, but it solves an immediate headache. Little started in 14 games in 2025, 12 of them playing specifically at left tackle, accumulating 967 offensive plays for the season. The problem is that this trade still faces serious obstacles ahead. Little is recovering from an ankle injury, and the forecast as of August 13th was to be out for at least another week. On the other side, the Jaguars made Cole Van Lanen the long-term starter with a 3-year contract extension worth $51 million, of which $32.5 million is guaranteed, after he allowed no sacks on 166 pass protection snaps. However, Van Lanen remains on the PUP list due to a knee issue, and Jacksonville is also dealing with Patrick Mekari recovering from back surgery and Chuma Edoga being unavailable. If this uncertainty persists, the Jaguars may simply stall the deal until they are sure they have enough depth on the line. But if Van Lanen shows real progress by the end of August, keeping Little as an expensive backup makes less and less financial sense for Jacksonville. Little's contract includes a base salary of $11 million in 2026, with an estimated total cost of around $11.94 million for the season. Washington could absorb this amount without restructurings and would still inherit a 2027 package with $12 million in non-guaranteed money, providing flexibility to reassess everything after the season. Nicholas Petit-Frere remains in the middle of this equation as a contingency plan, having been signed on August 8th after 3 seasons in Tennessee, totaling 28 career starts, but without playing in 2025. Relying solely on him as the only alternative would create unnecessary risk right from the opening against the Philadelphia Eagles and, a week later, against the Dallas Cowboys, both games scheduled for 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time. Waiting for final cuts could even reduce the cost of a potential signing, but it would also increase competition for any tackle available on the market. While this soap opera unfolds behind the scenes of the offensive line, another confusion, this time much more exposed, has taken over social media regarding Daniels himself. It all started when the quarterback decided to protect his personal brand, and his representatives sent a cease and desist notice to LSU after the university allowed freshman cornerback DJ Pickett to wear the number 5 jersey, the same one Daniels wore while building his legacy in Baton Rouge. In his mind, it seemed like a legitimate and even professional stance in light of something built with so much effort. However, the internet decided to treat the matter in a completely different way, and within days, the story turned into a joke in practically every corner of sports. Mike Florio, host of Pro Football Talk, publicly commented that he was baffled by the number of people involved in the mockery, mentioning baseball teams, college football players, and even a priest from Louisiana joining in the fun. According to him, the 5-year story is no longer funny on its own, but seeing Daniels insist on the subject is what keeps everything alive on social media. Florio also left a direct message for future stars of the league, saying that no one should complain about the retirement of their own number, at the risk of becoming the next target of this widespread mockery. The cruel detail is that there is no good answer for Daniels in this specific situation. If he speaks up, it will seem like he's taking the joke more seriously than it deserves. If he prefers silence, the jokes continue to circulate freely without any real breaks. It's a trap with no easy way out, and the quarterback himself is learning the hard way that no one wins a public debate against the internet. The good news is that on the field, the production remains impressive and consistent. As a rookie in 2024, the young player accumulated 3,168 passing yards and 25 touchdowns, along with 891 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. Already this season, after 7 games played, Daniels has totaled 1,162 passing yards and 8 touchdowns, always minimizing silly mistakes. If this consistency continues, and the Commanders start to rack up important wins, the story of the number 5 is likely to lose steam quickly, because nobody cares much about memes when the quarterback is leading real achievements. While Daniels tries to shield his image off the field, uncertainty also looms large in the running backs room, but for very different reasons. Bill Krosky-Merritt has only 1 season of professional sample, and Rachaad White hasn't even completed his reunion on the field alongside Daniels, but both are still treated as practically guaranteed pieces by the new offensive coordinator, David Blau. The two missed the preseason opener against the Miami Dolphins, opening the door for new names to grab attention during this absence. It was precisely in this gap that Kaytron Allen, selected in the 6th round and a product of Penn State, seized the opportunity to reinforce his position in the roster hierarchy. He finished the game with 85 yards on 23 carries and 1 touchdown, a result that confirms the trust that the management had already placed in him since the draft. The average of 3.7 yards per carry fell below what he produced in college, but still made Allen the only running back in the last decade to register more than 20 carries in the preseason without any plays with a negative yardage. The problem for Allen is that another rookie emerged, stealing even more of the spotlight in the same game. Robert Henry Jr., who arrived as an undrafted free agent, produced 75 yards and 1 touchdown on just 12 rushing attempts, nearly half the workload received by Allen. This means much greater efficiency with each opportunity given, something any attentive fan immediately notices when comparing the numbers side by side. While Allen provided volume and consistency, Henry delivered direct impact every time he touched the ball. If this productivity repeats itself in the next 2 games against the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens, Henry could easily secure a surprising spot for Week 1, even having a theoretically tougher path than Allen. This would call into question the initial prediction that Allen would occupy, without much competition, the 3rd position in the franchise's running back hierarchy. The situation becomes even more tense considering that Jeremy McNichols, an 8-season veteran and present in 34 consecutive games, suffered a quadriceps injury during training camp and may not even be available for the season opener. In light of this potential absence, the organization has already taken action by bringing in Craig Reynolds, a former player for the Detroit Lions and also a former Redskin, in addition to keeping Jerome Ford in the conversation as an additional depth option. Neither of the two typically excites those who closely follow fantasy football, but both gain immediate relevance if McNichols remains out in September. White, by the way, further reinforces this internal competition after accumulating over 800 rushing yards last season and presenting the best success rate in the league among rookies, with an impressive 53.7%. In the end, Krosky-Merritt and White should remain untouchable as the 2 main options in the rushing attack, but the remaining spots are completely up for grabs between experienced veterans and ambitious rookies. Allen and Henry showed that talent and opportunity do not always follow the expected draft order, and this completely changes the expectation that any fan had built during the entire offseason. That organized plan seems increasingly provisional as the preseason games advance. So the question that really matters to wrap up this analysis remains, if Robert Henry Jr. continues to produce this way against the Lions and Ravens, do you believe the coaching staff will have the courage to leave Kaytron Allen off the final 53-man roster, or will the historical preference for those who were drafted outweigh in the moment of decision?